Hey everyone, how's it going today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. And you know, the DC Universe streaming service is one that is in a very weird place, right? It's in a very weird place. It launched late last year with Titans season one, a show that had terrible trailers, but ended up going on to get a pretty dedicated fan base. And so much so that season two is coming later on this year. Doom Patrol came out and wowed the F out of everybody. And they were like, oh my God, this is great because it embraced the craziness and it leaned in to that hard TV MA rating. And of course, Swamp Thing canceled after one episode due to a paperwork error that led to basically WarnerMedia holding the bag for a $30 million tax credit they didn't get from the state of North Carolina. And when that was announced, then talk began about potentially, well, shutting down DC Universe. And I think this was always kind of going to happen. If I'm being fair, I have DC Universe. I pre-bought it for 15 months for $75. Not a bad deal at all. I like reading the comics. I love watching Batman, the animated series, and I like the shows that are on there. I think that ultimately it's a good service for the couple dollars a month you spend for it. However, is that going to be sustainable to keep things happening like the $80 million season one of Swamp Thing? I don't know. I mean, and I think AT&T, now having purchased it, is looking at it as being one of those things that probably is not going to be sustainable, which is why they're talking about shutting it down. Now, it says here that Warner Brothers dropped the bombshell last week that they were canceling Swamp Thing, explaining that budgetary issues and a rough production were mostly what killed off the hope of a second season ever materializing. But now it says that they're talking about shutting it down completely as Warner Media continues to develop a central platform to rival Disney Plus. And this was probably always going to be the case, right? I'm pretty sure that that Time Warner was really hoping DC Universe would attract those hardcore DC fans that want to read like the 50,000 comics that they've got up there. And I got a 4K 55-inch TV, and man, I love reading the comics on there. It's crisp, it's clear, it's HD, really easy to control with my remote, and it's awesome. I can just sit there while my kid's asleep and like read comics. Like, that's freaking cool to me. But I understand that when it comes to the cost of the television shows, this is the problem. So sources close to We Got This Covered says that despite the company's statement last week that the DC Universe is here to stay, Warner's is indeed planning to cancel it in the near future, with the goal being to blend it into their aforementioned central streaming site. As for current shows on the platform, we're hearing that Titans is likely safe, but the fate of the rest is unknown. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about this online. A lot of people talking about this, especially in the comment section of my video, What Killed Swamp Thing. And they were telling me that they were thinking Doom Patrol should go, and it might go and should ultimately go to, let's say, HBO, because it would be more fitting for that particular content. And I absolutely agree. But Warner Media, as I covered the other day, is looking to charge $16 to $17 a month for this streaming service. And in it, you get HBO, but HBO is the centerpiece. Everything else is anchored to HBO, including Cinemax and a bunch of movies and TV shows that Warner's owns, and everything's going to be central to HBO. So it would make sense to me that if they do close down the DC universe, that they move everything to HBO or Cinemax, which then through that streaming service, they would then be able to make that money. Because here's the thing, HBO Now, as it is, or HBO Go, whatever service you get, is like, or no, I think it's HBO Go, is like $15 a month. So tack on another $2 and you get everything else, right? And I think that's what they're hoping for. Now, it says, all being said, we still expect the remainder of Young Justice Outsiders to air this summer, in addition to Stargirl and Harley Quinn arriving before the year is up. Titans season 2, meanwhile, will be with us in early 2020. But beyond that, the future of DC Universe is unclear. And here's the thing. We're coming up for a few weeks away from Comic-Con, so they're not going to announce it. I mean, DC is skipping Hall H. They don't have a panel. Warner's doesn't have a panel, which makes zero sense to me, considering the fact they have a lot of movies coming out and a lot of stuff in post-production and things that they're working on, that they probably are just in this weird mix-up right now due to the situation involving the AT&T buyout, that they just don't want to spend the damn money to go to Comic-Con. Kind of similar to E3 this week, where a lot of big-name companies aren't showing up and it's really not having much of an impact. These kind of trade shows, I think, to some extent involving entertainment, is dying. people aren't going. They want to watch the event streamed, or at least a, some kind of production event that they could then release on their own platform and draw people in that way. It just seems to make the most amount of sense. Now, I, for one, don't want DC Universe to shut down, but it does feel like an inevitability. Once my 15 months is up, I then have to reevaluate how much do I want to spend per month for this service. Will they offer me another bundle deal where it's going to be $70 for another year? That's not that bad. That's actually pretty inexpensive. But if it's more than that, given what they have on there, given what I actually pay attention to, I'm going to have to look at that and really question it. But if they tied that into, let's say, the WarnerMedia streaming service, if they made that a part of it, and they shut it down and they merge it into that. And so instead of spending like the $8 a month I would spend, then it goes up to like the $17, but I get HBO, Cinemax, and everything else. That's a different story. And then that becomes a much better deal overall. But anyway, I leave it to you guys. Your thoughts, your opinions. What's your take on all this? Do you think this is going to be a good thing to shut it down? Should they try to save it? How do you feel? How do you want to go about it? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys later. Please thumbs up the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys. Have a good one, and peace out.